Hey, John here. So got this 2017 GMC Acadia. We're gonna change the rear brakes today. Actually, both front and rear is gonna be done, but just doing the rear brakes today. So let's see what kind of trouble we can get into here. Let's take this wheel off and see what's doing. So I suspect these brakes shouldn't be that bad because this vehicle is a 2017. It's only got 37,000 miles on it, but I can see through the spokes here that the rotor, it's got about, well, at least a 1/16 gone, maybe a few 30-seconds. So they probably need to be done anyways. Let's see what happens here. Let's take this wheel off. You might want to loosen that. Righty, lefty loosey. Yeah, so it doesn't look too bad, but it looks like I haven't taken it off yet. The inside might be a little bit worn. The outside might be a little bit more worn than the inside. We'll have to see. But another reason I want to do these brake jobs because I want to treat this stuff with fluid film, prevent some rust here because I see that's got some surface rust on this shield here, but. The rotor, like I said, it's got a groove here. It's pretty good groove. Could just feel the inside, same thing. So let's get this thing off. See what it looks like. Yeah. Okay, so I do have to take the caliper off, but I also have to take this saddle off because, like I said, I want to do a couple things. But I have to change the rotor, so everything's got to come off. So it looks like this is a 14. So I'm just going to crack these loose. We'll get this bottom one without an extension. Crack these loose, get this caliper off. Check out the slide pins and all that business. Like I said, it doesn't seem to be that bad, so we'll see what happens here. Let's see if this comes out there. Yeah, not going to need a tool. Yeah, great. Let's see what I got here. Let's see where I can hang this. Here? No? Here? Maybe? Let me just hang this thing so I can look at it. Alright, so, wow, interesting. So maybe these slide pins, they don't appear, well, this one does. Be the goddamn monkey's uncle. Oh, there it goes. I think the top one was a little bit funky, because as you can see here, I don't know if you can or not, there's nothing left of this pad, and on the inside, there's quite a bit left. So it wasn't breaking properly again. Northeast, everything's rusting. I'm sure this, we'll have to clean all this stuff up, but let me, I think this is an 18 now. You probably can't see them in there, but 2 bolts here. Looks like 18. We'll get this saddle off, and then we'll go from there. And I gotta see if I got this tool. Oh wow, is this caliper already spent? Is that just dirt and grime? Hopefully that's just dirt and grime. Let me see what I got for tools here. So it is an 18. Let's see if we can get this crack loose. Get this thing off of there. Unfortunately, to get, I can't get my impact in there, but well, let's see. Let's see, 2-foot breaker board ought to do the trick. Oops, sorry about that. Gotta take these things back off. Oop, everything's done. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Might have been able to do that with just a regular ratchet. Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad. Should be looks like Loctite's on there. Yellow Loctite. Oh yeah. Yeah, so that was, well, it's not down to the metal, but it is very close. Very close. I think there's like a 1/16 inch left. But yeah, see, it's unfortunately in the Northeast, this is what you gotta deal with. Everything's seized up. Goes one. Amazing, huh? Basically a brand new car. Rust jack almost immediately. Let's go clean up, take it over to the bench. Well, I'll get to this rotor in a second. Let me go look at this caliper closer. So I'm guessing if you live in, I don't know, North Carolina, lower Florida or something like that, you don't have to worry about this. You could probably get away with 50,000 miles, you know, before you even have to entertain it. I just want to see how much, oh Jesus, there's a lot of junk in here. Yeah, so this thing has some rust jack. Oh yeah, look at that. That's like, oh jeez. I'm gonna have to take this to the sandblaster. This is just, the amount of rust in here for a 2017 is just insane. Insane. But look at this. That's one pad, right? Whoop, where are we? Right? Nice. And this is the opposite side. It's basically done. There's nothing left of it. There is, but there's not. You can't even make out. Like, I would imagine that's a. I'm glad I took this apart. It's almost the thickness of this little shield here. So they were toast, and these are original brakes, GM part number here. But unfortunately, I live in the Northeast, and like I said, I'm going to have to take this, see if I can sandblast this. Actually the pin doesn't look that bad. Still got grease on it. Where are we here? Still got grease on it. This one isn't that bad actually on the top here. Still has, no, this one is actually good. It's this one here. I don't know if you can see where I shined it up a little bit, but anyways, let me, I'm going to paint these red too, so let me sandblast this, get all this junk off, and before I do that, let me go over there and take that rotor off. I could see in there, I don't know if you can, but the surface of this is pretty rusted, so this is probably rusted on there, but I see that it's got the original, I just measured, it's a 30 Torx bit, so this might break. You don't really need it, but yeah, came loose. I'll probably reuse it, but let's see if this, it's getting tight. Must have rust on the other side of it. There it goes. Yeah. Yeah, so. Oh, it did come loose. Alright. So, there you have it. Lots of barnacles. Not too bad, but again, look at that. 2 years old, and it looks like this car's, I don't know, 20 years old. So I'm going to have to clean all this business up. Look at this. Look at that. I mean, it's not, it's just, it looks like surface rust, but, man. So I got everything covered up. I'm going to try to get rid of this rust, surface rust here with one of those gravity feed, you know, deals, but it's going to make a mess in here, so I can't really film it because the, you know, this stuff's going to go all over the place. But I was just thinking about it. This car is 2 years old, so I just bought it for my wife, and you know, you never know what kind of deal you're going to get. So I bought it from New Jersey, thinking, it's, you know, because I'm from Mass, it's a southern state, well, more south than we are. What could be wrong with it? Man, next time I buy a used vehicle, I'm pretty sure, because I got a relative in South Florida, I'm just going to pay the piper, have it shipped, or go down there and pick it up, because I know a fella named Mark down there. He's got an 86, what is it, Mercury, so there's nothing wrong with the vehicle. Yeah, the paint on the top is horrible because they rust from the top down, but the underneath is just impeccable. And that being said, this vehicle is it's a very nice car, so you just can't expect this stuff. 2 years, I mean, gee whiz. But anyways, let me clean this up. The underneath of this car is beautiful. There's no rust at all. This is the first surface rust that I've seen. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the front and the back, clean this stuff up, and I'm gonna treat this with fluid film. So hopefully this car is gonna last a while. But that being said, it's a 2017. This is a GMC Acadia, the Denali version, and if you were to buy this in 2017, it would cost you $47,000 plus taxes, nearly a $50,000 car. So I just picked it up for $26,000, and it's 2 years old. But obviously we've got problems here. Needs brakes. The tires, I just put brand new tires on it. But that being said, it's still a good deal. I still like the car. It's got all the bells and whistles. I'm just so disappointed in this nonsense with the rust belt crap here. 2 years, come on. Seriously, I mean, I got a small beach going in here. This thing is, it's not as quick as you think. Takes a while, but I got it basically down to metal. I'll probably just finish it up with sandpaper or something. Wire, something to get it down to bare metal, and then I'll buy that paint, that black paint that turns rust into metal. You ever see that commercial? Man, if I only had stock in that, if it only worked. I probably will just sand this the rest of the way up and hit that circle with that stuff that's supposedly turns rust into metal, which it doesn't. But and then the inner ring there, that's pretty much down to metal. I'll probably just hit that with fluid film because that's where your rotor slaps over it, so there'll be no, nothing that's going to get in there. But I got to tell you, man, 2 years and this amount of rust. I mean, it's not like a huge amount of rust. It was surface rust, but it just shouldn't be there. Alright, so I got everything sandblasted up, and I just threw a coat of paint on that ring there. First I used that stuff that's supposed to turn, turn rust into, I think this is it here, this gimmick. Goes on clear, then turns to black, and after it dries you can paint it. So I just threw a coat of paint on there. Hopefully that'll stop it from rusting. It's just a shield ring there, but they do rust out. I just can't believe the amount of rust on this vehicle, 2 years old. So I just threw a coat of caliper paint on there, but before I got to take it to the other side because I'm going to dismantle it while this stuff's drying because it was problematic. So this parking brake mechanism there that goes on the caliper, I've never worked on one, so I don't know if it has to be on the caliper or off the caliper when you try to wind these screw types in. So I just took it off. It's just two little bolts, little spline deal fits in the back there. So it was no big deal, but it was very problematic getting these things in. And I think what happened was, well, let me take you to the other side, I'll show you. Alright, so this is the parking brake, electric parking brake deal. It's just got a little spline deal that hooks on the back of this. So again, I just disconnected it just because, I don't know if it has to be disconnected or not. Because, I'll tell you why, because when I was winding this in, first of all, I don't really see this, not very good lighting. This was out a little more, right? Maybe another 1/8 inch or whatever it was. So as I'm, cranking it down, this was with the piece on there, the parking brake on there. It kind of stopped. You got really hard to work. So that's why I took it off, because I wasn't sure if it needed to be on there or not. Turns out it does. I still don't know, but because this thing was literally, wouldn't go in. So then you start second guessing yourself. Well, maybe this is a different kind of design. I don't know, but it's just the same design. You screw this in. What's going on though is like you could just picture this like the screw here. I think what happened was on this caliper, whatever, wherever it was out to, the backside got corroded. So when I was trying to screw this down, the caliper, it got stuck in this corrosion. You can't see it's inside. That's what, just like a normal piston on a normal brake caliper, sometimes they get stuck, and you really have to force it in with the C-clamp to, to get by that rust ring or corrosion ring or whatever it is. So I think that's what was going on, but look at the tool. I mean, this is supposed to be straight. I had to put so much torque on it. I literally had to get, fancy with a pipe and a big long bar to get that thing to move, because at that point I was like, well, I got to fix this thing, and again, I wasn't sure if this type, was different than anything I've worked on in the past. I've done some Fords or whatever, they pretty much screw down the same way every time. But so if you don't have one of these tools, that you can get them for rental, any AutoZone, what's the other one? O'Reilly's. They all Napa, they all have this tool rental thing. It doesn't cost you anything to bring the tool back, but or you could just buy them on Amazon for 20 bucks. Literally, they're 20 bucks for a whole kit. So I'm not quite done screwing this down. I'll just show you how it kind of operates. You get the one backing plate there, whatever one fits your vehicle. They're not listed on this, but maybe some kits will say GM, Ford, I don't know. But you just kind of, this one only has the single nub here. In the kit I have, a lot of them have two nubs, so it'll fit, but it doesn't matter. You just get one of those nubs in the groove here. If you can see what I'm talking about. Bad lighting, but there's grooves on each side. So get one of them nubs in there. Again, make sure you got the right one, because when you're screwing this down, this rubber ring, this will fit right up close to it, and sometimes it'll duck in past it. So you can't have the wrong one. You might screw that sleeve up. And then this is where it plugs into. First, you need the backing plate. And like I said, I bent my thing here, but the backing plate goes over it like so. And then, it fits in there like this. But this is usually screwed in a little bit. It's supposed to be simple. And you just plug those two holes in, make sure you got everything lined up, which I don't. Oh, I'll tell you why. See how this is, it's got a round slope to it. Make sure that's down. So it follows the contour of your brake. There we go. And then you just counterclockwise this deal here while holding everything together. And once you got that done, that's it. Now you should technically just this brake goes a little short, so I can't really dip it. Technically, you could just crank on this, and some of these tools have like a whatever this is, 7/8 or a nut on the end here, so it'd be even better with a wrench. But because like I said, I couldn't get enough torque on this, and had to put a wrench on it, and it bent it, and it was I really thought I had to get a new caliper, but I'm past the point now. So this should, I don't know if you can see that, but this should start winding it in more than it was, and it's fairly simple, fairly easy to do too. And you do have to push, kind of have to hold this nut here. You don't really need a wrench, but because then it keeps everything taut. I don't know if you can see that spinning, but and just keep an eye on your rubber seal there. Make sure that it's not getting pinched or whatever, and then just screw it in so it bottoms out just like a regular caliper. If you're using a C-clamp, press it in, same deal. The only thing is with this, like I said, you can see how easy that is. I'm using 2 fingers. When it wasn't working, I was like getting really worried because I don't want to take this caliper off. Although I do have to sandblast this one and paint it. I didn't want to separate it from the. So once this is tight enough, just screw this in and take this mechanism off. Let's see what we got here. There we go. So it's in further than it was. This looks like it's leaking, but it's not. I try to get under the lip with a pick and squirt some stuff under there to hopefully break some corrosion free. I don't know if it worked or not, but like I said, this was stuck and it was very problematic, and this is all I can say. You just got to keep going. I worked it in, worked it out, worked it in, worked it out, and finally got by that resistance part, and now everything seems to be working good. Now I would like, I guess I could start the vehicle and go step on the brake and have this thing push out to make sure it does work, to a certain, you don't want to push it all the way out and pop the piston out, but and then screw it back in just to make sure. I don't know if I'll do that or not, but that being said, I was probably going to set a bunch of codes if this emergency brake thing ain't hooked up. So let me sandblast this. And so I'm about to load this caliper up, and I noticed that the new brake, you know, it's the same brake, definitely the same, but might explain why these are getting held up. And I've had this problem with my GMC truck. You know, they get held up, but or hung up. But see how tight that fit is? This is not even in the caliper, but it's got a tight fit in there. And that would be fine if these things didn't have to move. But so I just dry fitted this in there. Wouldn't even go in. Now I got paint on there, but you know, not that much to have this jacked out like that. So the reason you know, you don't have to paint these, but you would have to put grease behind the stainless, you know, just to keep it from rust jacking, or help keep it from rust jacking. But anyway, since there's paint here, before I add grease or anything, I was just dry fitting these. And where's the other one? You know, it wouldn't even fit in. I mean, literally, you'd have to hammer it in. And these need to be free flowing, as you know. So, so what I end up doing in cases like that, I'll take a little bit, a grinder or a file or something, and just take a little bit off, just enough to have it. You know what I mean? So it's free flowing. Especially when you put this, when you clip these in there, you know, these kind of get squished in. So I just dry fitted this, and this should work. It's still a little bit tight, but nowhere near as well. So anyways, the squealer only comes, you got one squealer on one pad, and don't forget that the nub, where we had her, the nub for your little winder deal has got to fit in one of those slots. So if you notice, this one doesn't have nub. That's just to hold that plate on. But so don't forget that. And that goes to the inside. I'll show you that in a second. But so now dry fitting these in now before I even add grease. They fit. They still got a little bit of snugness, which I don't mind that. It's in the hole. All right. So that is the inside, but I can move it. I mean, it won't fall out, so it's still snug. So I like that, but you can move it. I just took it out, and once I grease that up, it'll be fine, and that'll help with you know, rust jack in the future. So these are aftermarket, but they're exactly the same as these, and I believe, where do I see that? Yeah, it says GM on it, so I think these are the original calipers. It's got a part number on there. You know, I have no way of knowing, because I bought this car used, if the brake job has been done before, but it's only got 37,000 miles, so I would imagine no. But they were exactly the same. So, again, I might explain why this one doesn't even have the squealers on the outside. It's completely gone. It's completely toast. I don't know if I got it on camera, but taking them off, yeah, I had to bang them out of there. They were totally seized in there. And the actual, you know, the clips, the original clips, they didn't look that bad. I mean, they weren't like full of rust or anything, even though they're supposed to be stainless. But as you can see, they're kind of, you know, they're okay. You could probably clean these up, but so I don't get it. So anyways, that's what I do to remedy that, and I think this will work fine. And if you have you know, some reservations or grinding these ears down a little bit, I'm not saying going to town like taking half of it off, but just enough to relieve some pain. So that's what I do when that happens. You can do what you want, but if you don't, like I said, these fit in so tight, your brakes ain't gonna work right. They really aren't. So let me grease these up and load up this caliper, and they come with these little doohickeys here, and they're kind of problematic, but I'll show you that in a second. So I got the inside one greased, and I just shaved down a little bit on this, but see how that's moving now? You couldn't fit this in here, trust me. You're just going to have to trust me. It would not fit in there. I mean, right now, it's a good snug fit, maybe a little bit too snug, but I'm going to leave it like that. So again, I just shaved, you know, top side, end, and bottom, just enough to have some more clearance. And so you would just stick one side in here, reach in there, get the other side in, and again, it's not going to fall out. This is still a little tacky, but it's not going to fall out, which is what I'm looking for. I don't want them in there chattering like, you know, cold teeth, but, you know, I think this is good. So literally, I think that would be good to go. Now I'll add some grease. I don't know why it's like that. It's just like, really? You know, on my truck, I had the same problem with the GMC brakes, just in a way that they're way too tight, and they need to be operating, you know, free-flowing. You let off the brake, you don't want that thing stuck on your rotor, obviously. So, I mean, I'm just going to grease these up and stick them in the hole, and then I'll get to those top pins. Putting these top clips in, just put them in the hole. You know, oddly enough, I was just thinking the originals, they don't even have holes. They didn't have these top clips, which is odd. And these, like I said, it's a GM part. Remember. Well, anyways, when your caliper goes over this, it's going to squash these down a little bit, but you can see how it kind of moves them back out, so it keeps them like spring-loaded. So that's how it's going to go on the car. Anyways, I'm going to put that on. Yeah, so back on the 18mm bolts, I put them on just a second ago. I'll tighten them up with this little guy. It's a 1/2-inch drive, but if you're wondering what the torque is, I give it all I can get with the little guy. That would probably be enough, but then you should look up the torque if you really want to know the torque. This is my torque right here. So I just gave it all I got with the little wrench, put a 2-footer on there, and just give it a little bit. That's the torque I'm going to use, right? Seriously. I don't know, some people get really funky about torques, and I know it's important, but hey. Can't even get out. There we go. This is the torque I'm going to go right there. That's perfect. This is the part I was talking about where the nub on the back, it's on the back side. This ain't the nub, but there's a nub just like this in the center of this, on this plate back here. And that's where this dial has to be. As you can see, it's off. It needs to be straight up and down, because if you look on the back, it looks just like this. It's on the back side, so that means it's vertical this way, and it's a little off. But you don't need a backing plate now, because this will free flow. You do need your the correct plate here, but you don't need the we're not going to be forcing this in anymore. Let's get that on there first. So I just need to spin it a little bit, and that's where my groove is, that little nub there. And I think I'll be able to see that, so I just want to turn it to get in the hole here. I want to turn it to vertical, somewhere like that. That should do the trick. I'll have to dry fit it. Get off of there. It's a little bit of a not vertical, but as you can see, it's a little wider here, so that pin should fall in there. I'm gonna hook this up last. I guess you could put it on right now. Again, it's just the two little Allen bolts and the splines. It's not like a keyway or nothing. You just fit it in there. It'll fit in the hole. But I'm gonna do that last, just because there's room to get in here to do that. Otherwise, I might have to, you know, on a different vehicle. If you didn't have the room, you could put it on now. But I'm gonna get this on there and see what happens. I'm not gonna. I was gonna hit that with some fluid film, but then it'll get on my nice new red paint. So, which I don't care about. It ain't gonna hurt it, but I don't think it's fully dried yet. So I'll just put a little caliper grease on this to help protect it. Just because when I took this apart, again, I sandblasted everything, but it was rusty. Good old Rusty Jones, he was in there. So I'll just paint that up, and hopefully that'll give it a little bit of protection. Because all right, let's see if this thing's going to cooperate. So I would say try to get these pins in as much as you can. Oh, I don't know if I discussed that before. Make sure they're free flowing, which these are. I didn't even add grease to them. I did take them out, peaked. There's plenty of grease in there. So let's see if this will slap on with no problems. All right. So far so good. Wow, that's kind of tight hose there. Not digging that. Not digging that. Well, maybe because the suspension is fully, probably because the suspension is fully suspended. Let's see here. Let's get it in the hole. These are 14s. Get the 14 started. So, wow, that does look like a big stretch there. Yeah, I think it's just because the suspension is just sagging. Once we get the wheel on, I'll look at that again. Well, that's the way it was. So, before I dust my paint here, let's see if this thing is lined up correctly. Yep, everything looks okay. Let's tighten that down, see what happens, and then we'll get to the electric brake. Oopsie daisy, almost forgot to look. So that that piston that comes out with the slot, it's about a 1/4 inch away. I don't know if you can make that out in there. Let's see if we can. The piston's way in, needs to come out. So now I'm wondering, you know, I didn't tighten this up yet. I could take this back off and unwind it to about where I think it is. Or I'm thinking, can I hit the brakes? You know what I mean? Like tap on the brakes. I just put a block in the other caliper to keep it from popping out. But if I hit the brakes and it just comes out, then that's what I'll do. So let me start this vehicle and make sure everything's not going to fall off the jacks here. And just squeeze the brake a little bit. See if that pops out without unscrewing. If it unscrews, then I'll have to take it off and, you know, do it that route. But I think it should just pop out and run it. All right, let's see if it come out. I couldn't see nothing. Oh, yeah, it looks like it came straight out. So it does appear that it just popped right out. So, you know, that's a magnet. This, you know, I can get in there and look. It's pressed right up against this. So if it was out of the groove, the hole wasn't, you know, the pin wasn't in the slot, you would see a gap, but I can see in there. So I think that's good to go. So next up is, let's put that emergency brake thing on and get to the other side and see if we did this right. Alright, so there you have it. One rear brake wheel's done. It did take a little bit more time because I wanted to, you know, get all that rust out of there and treat everything, paint everything. But it went pretty smooth, I guess. That being said, there was a little bit more rust than I expected for a 2-year-old car. I mean, come on, GMC. Do you even treat this stuff? So anyways, everything came out good. I still haven't test driven it yet because I got to do the front, but I suspect everything's good. The emergency brake thing, I had some, you know, on the dash there when I was goofing around with it. It did come up like service parking or whatever it said, the message. So that got solved by putting everything back together. So I'm happy with that. So thanks for watching and see you next time.